Morning.
How you
Good. How you doing? Packets. Yeah, Jessica, she had to go to, she had something she had to do, she had court.
Oh, boy.
But she gave us her report.
Okay. Sounds like she's being responsible.
Yeah, she's doing good, as far as I know.
Okay. Rearrange my packets. Well, we need books. Okay, some books.
And I don't know of any new businesses. We did did we do it is what it is last time?
Yes,
Okay.
she called in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Bob Hamilton is coming. He's gonna have handouts for his update.
Okay.
Oh, And do we have the budget, did we need stuff for the budget now? I don't have that in here, should I?
Yeah, that's gonna be on me.
That thing that she wanted us to fill out, that's due, her budget, I'll make copies of that.
Okay, yeah, please. Hi.
Who's the worst with Reedy? She were, Reedy, yeah. Anyway, she called Dana yesterday,
Yeah,
and Dana was very moved by you guys came to her and the family and stuff, so it was very nice. You know, they talked for a while.
well, great,
Yeah.
good. So there's a House of Science packet in the review there. Oh, it's just 20 numbers. Well, 2268, come on.
Just like the one thing.
Think of
Oh,
it
like
this
this,
way.
oh, the 20.
Yeah. But think of it this way.
He's gonna do something, what do you guys?
I have no idea what they spent, I mean, because we're using the existing here. Yeah, but think of it this way. We could stipulate that in the economy or more
Oh,
by being credited. So, you know.
hey, listen, you never have to convince me that you're here to spend money to make money. Good job. I get that.
So that's where we are.
Okay. Yeah, there's just so much more civil and straightforward.
Yeah, and inclusive, representative of
Yeah.
reality.
Richard.
Hi.
Yeah, I think we did a good job when I was walking over here today. I thought, you know what, I'm really glad for the input.
Yeah.
Because I think we, pretty much nailed it.
Yeah.
You know, I can't think of anything else.
What we have is really nice, but it's all like, we all, it makes sense to all of us, so we look at everything, you know. So from the business perspective, this one is much more.
Morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Here,
Good, how are you doing?
factual,
Yeah.
great, thank you, yeah, less.
And it's all populated apparently.
Yeah.
That was super late, just a little late.
Good. Good times, brothers on time. Mr. Boat, good to see you.
Good to see you. I was looking all over the house. I'm sure you're my colleague this morning, who's my roommate apparently. So I hear all the time. Who didn't say goodbye?
Yeah, because I had to run down new packets. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. How's that with your email?
What's that?
Oh, your email.
Oh. The heaters?
Not yet.
Oh,
I try not to indulge in work.
I'll give it back.
So, only one meeting. Do I have this electronic, Mr. Bluehart?
What's that, sir?
Perfect.
Red Bull? The smell of Red Bull makes my stomach growl.
Pellegrino with party.
It's a pre-batch cocktail. It's gin and lavender.
Oh, you read my mind, Kevin.
Gin and lavender.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there has to
Five
be.
o'clock somewhere, right?
If it's a Red Bull, they said no, it's a pre-batch cocktail. It is Pellegrino for the record, people.
We are being recorded.
Yes.
Bob, the tiles look, pavers look so good. I popped your hash back open when I ran into you the other day. They look so good.
We'll hopefully start putting them up around the fire pit, maybe next week.
Good.
Good, how are you?
Good. So y'all, there's that house that's nice, actually, the message for the discussion today.
It's just, she's sorry,
She's got an appointment this morning. Okay, so she will not be here, but her report was included, so,
I saw that.
yeah.
Jen's not coming, or just a
Jess is not.
She had to have surgery last week on her keyhole again. So, I'm not saying injury, so yeah, she's.
But wait, it was just orthopedic surgery, right?
It was to,
Remove the hardware.
yeah,
Yeah.
so she doesn't go off and know just like we're gonna.
I'm sure that it's not like she had a brain damage, right?
No. She'll probably be able to kick as well with that sort of.
I had to have.
She might buy it where it's for safe too.
I'm gonna have to talk to her about that, that's why we had to remove it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I had,
We had all your skills unit, right?
I had everything.
Hi, Mike, how are you?
I just had one loose.
This
Morning, this was night.
You walked right into her.
Long story. The story really lasted about 3.5 years.
I did that for years.
But the surgery obviously took away the
Four
pain.
surgeries.
Four surgeries.
Gee, oh
Yeah,
my God, that would be a little much.
I honestly was considering, I
Dude.
thought, if it's not gonna heal, let's just put this in.
I don't think she anticipated that she was gonna have to have it.
Yeah.
And so obviously it became more of a burden.
Probably mine.
George got every time.
Very fast.
After everything.
It's true.
And then you wanted to know how the heck you didn't do
Someone did
it.
one and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
I'm not either.
It's just I was love the explosion or whatever everybody else says.
There's some. You probably, well, maybe you could watch it now, it's on Netflix, I think, there's some show, a short series.
It's fine, it's scary, it's scary.
On the hardware that they put into people, and I'll get the name and let you know, or check through Netflix, yeah, yeah.
When he broke his elbow, They did anesthesia,
That's fine.
but they
Yeah,
didn't
you
do
gotta do it,
anesthesia
yeah.
on call. They just told me to give, because they're like, for kids, it's too risky, they're like, just give it Tylenol. Those are the worst things I've ever seen. It's another.
All right, folks, good morning. It is 8:02 a.m. on Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. So I'm going to call the Georgetown Business Promotion Commission to order. May I have a roll call
Mary Smith,
Sure.
Amanda Cooper. Here. Chairman Kuhara,
here?
Greg Abrahamson,
Here,
all vote.
here,
The-
one word.
Great. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Audience business. Members of the audience will have 5 minutes to present any matter of concern to the commission. No official action may be taken at this time. Those viewing on television may phone in comments to 303-569-2555, extension 7, or use the Zoom application. Jen, do we have any new business owners or managers?
Not that I know
Okay,
You
thank you.
know, we should recognize the new owners of the Georgetown Lodge. Is that the name of the?
of. Amber?
No,
Oh, the other one.
yeah.
I don't, I'd have to go look up their names, I don't know it off the top of my head.
I mean, it's
But
been
yeah,
within the
that's
last
a good
couple of
one.
months.
Yeah.
We have new owners.
Yeah, we should reach out and say welcome, and let's have Jess do that.
Yeah, but I mean, we should also, you know,
Yeah.
be brought to our attention.
They're already doing all kinds of
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
maintenance work around.
Yeah, exactly.
Grounds and stuff.
So maybe you could dig that up and share those names, those contacts with Jess.
Sure,
So she'll know that.
definitely,
We can all
yeah.
reach out.
Do they,
I don't know.
or is there, do they like change their business
I'm
license
pretty
when
sure
they?
they, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, they did. I remember meeting them, I just don't remember their name.
okay.
And did we ever recognize the International Hotel, that business that's becoming
I can remember.
We did,
the one that just got.
We did.
Okay, good,
but we haven't changed yet, so we probably should revisit that.
okay, all right, cool.
Who was that?
The former,
Former Shaw.
teamer,
Oh,
yeah,
That's gonna be the St. James again
the
now?
St. Judy's, yeah, yes, that's it.
Darla.
Okay. Sounds good. I'd love to meet those folks. All right, so, new and unfinished business. Mr. Hamilton, you're number 1.
Well, thank you.
One in our book too.
I know, that's why I said it was a double on
Good morning.
Good morning.
We got the grant, that's the good news. So we got the funding, so we will have money to complete Strauss Park. The bad news is we can't spend any of it until we get a contract with CDOT, which could be as long as 4 months, which puts us at like probably December, late November, December. What you see there now is pretty close to, we're almost finished what we had previously talked about accelerating and doing phase A, 3A, and doing the fire pit. The fire pit is in the final stages of being completed. It will be, should be operational sometime in September, probably maybe another 2 weeks, depends on how quick I can get the electrician out there to wire it up. We're wrapping up the concession area, putting finishing up the countertop stuff there. Those are probably the 2 main things that are going on. We decided to go ahead and pour the core for the seat wall. That's the 2 semicircle things you see down there. Right now, there's not plans under the 3A budget or the fire pit budget to clad that with stone. We will clad the fire pit with stone. We may get the cap for it, depending on whether they have it done or not.
So that's where we are there. We've spent about $91,000 so far between the fire pit and the prep work. I need to talk with Mary. I think we have about $94,000 left of town money, which we could use some or all of that to continue doing work, but any work that we would continue doing would, and that we complete would not be eligible for reimbursement from the grant money. So on page 3, this is what I'd like from you guys is your priorities. And I haven't priced these out as to what each item would cost, but just my thinking, these would be some of the things that we could look at doing between now and the end of the year if we were to spend the town money. And we may need to spend that and not, because I don't think it'll carry over to next year budget wise. So I need to work that out with Mary, and I'll be getting with her after I get to them talking with you and with the Parks and Rec group tomorrow. But we could go ahead and install the irrigation system. We put the underground stuff under the concrete so that the pipe base is there. But we could go ahead and install the irrigation system for the grass area and the planter around the Christmas tree. We could go ahead and prepare the area for flagstone paving. This would mean getting the final grade elevation set everywhere, digging down 4 to 6 inches, coming back with road base and getting it set so that we're ready to just go ahead and put sand down and then put the flagstone down when we get it. As an alternative to that, my thought was to do the grass area, which is right behind the fire pit, and that area, get all that done. That's so that we could actually put grass down this fall. And we're planning to put sod down. Get the area cleaned up around the Christmas tree so that it's more or less final. And then come back and fill with, basically put the crusher fines, the fine gray dust that we use on materials, kind of put that where the flagstone's going to go, and just, we'll slope it off the existing sidewalk so that we have a nice walkway throughout the place, including the stalls along the K&A building. That's another thought. We could build a planter at the corner of the K&A building. We put some concrete in there where the gas meter goes, just to seal that area up well. We could look at using salvage flagstone to put in the space between the fire pit and the seat wall. You put that down and be done with it. Because there's gonna be a lot of smaller pieces, and they have to be cut because everything is radius. So we could look at doing that ourselves this fall and get that area so it's paved, the inner ring. We could also look at installing the area light fixtures, which would be a fair amount of money. Just to buy them alone is like $20,000, and I don't know if he's bought them yet, but it's in the electrician's scope. But these are the kind of things that we could look at doing between now and Christmas market. Do you guys have any preferences in terms of priorities as what we should consider first, second, third?
Are any of these included in the grant?
They all are.
Oh,
It's just a matter of deciding, because the grant scope is 4 months on a CDOT contractor, and we need to spend down funds anyway.
Do we want to, if we are able to spend or need to spend more town money, where should we put it? And then these would come out of the grant scope. And we need to get all this settled, but at least I know kind of priorities, and we can kind of figure out what we could do and what we can't do or don't want to do.
My question is, does any of these have to be in order? Like, does the irrigation system need to be next?
The irrigation system would need to go in, at least running the actual water pipe from its source, which is the shelter building, over to like the grass area and stubbing it up in the grass area. We wouldn't necessarily have, if we don't put down the grass, you know, we don't have to put the irrigation system until we're ready to put down the grass.
So some do have to be.
So, yeah, we should, you know, if we get anything that requires underground, the only underground left to do really is to run the main lines to the areas that are gonna receive irrigation. Which is $250,000.
That's nice.
Well, all I would do is install the light fixtures. I think all of the rest of it is gonna be out of sequence. And just kind of a reason to spend money, right? It's not gonna have a lot of functional value except for the light fixtures. So if it were me, what do we have for a total budget for this project? I don't see that.
Yeah, it's on the last page. It's like 500 and some odd thousand, 560,000, something like that,
535.
535. And that looks like that's a good number based on where we are and where we, you know, with the prices we got for various items. And we're looking at about $100,000 of town money next year, which would, we need 56, well, we need 250 or 25, let's say 30. We committed 56,000 to CDOT for the grant money.
Is the paving that you've got in there? Well, I'm sorry, that's off topic. Yeah, in terms of items off that list, that's all I would do is install the light. They have there's some practical functionality to that, and they're not.
Yeah,
We've already got
got
a scope to be more costly, you know, because you're moving them up, but everything else like the planter and stuff, somehow that's out of scope. The irrigation system, somehow that's out of scope. Or out of phase, I mean. Yeah, we prepared for pipes on paving this winter or this fall and don't install the pipes on paving until next year. You're gonna re-prepare. Grass, same thing. I wait till spring, early spring to try and get it established, not late in the fall.
Well, I guess my question is how ready is the fire pit for Christmas market if we don't do that?
It's gonna be finished. I mean, that's in our plan. We're gonna finish that. The only thing that we may or may not get is be the cut stone for the cap, and that's just a matter of whether they get it done and when they get it done. I expect that I gave them a priority list. I'm ready to hear back on the cut stone for the cap. The other thing would be to do the seawall, which we could get that finished up with veneer stone and the cap.
If we're in a position that we have to utilize funds because we can't carry over for next year, then, you know, the aesthetic stuff is, like, anything that's gonna make the park look better, I'm 100% for. The lights make sense. The
Yeah,
seawall would make sense, I think, but
The decision to move money to next year lies entirely with the board of selectmen. There's no legal reason why the town can't just reallocate that in next year's budget. So,
well, if it's gonna be reimbursed by grant, then that makes sense.
But it won't be reimbursed by.
I mean, not reimbursed.
I would rather see
Yeah.
grant money
Yeah.
used for this project and hopefully Parks either
yeah.
reallocates it to another project that they have going on. Or why did we bother to wait all this time
kick it in on some
to
wayfinding signage maybe.
to apply for the grant? I'm sorry, what?
Kick it in on some wayfinding signage maybe.
Maybe.
There you go. Yeah, there are other. Yeah, I don't wanna go ahead with spending our money when we have the grant funds coming in, and realistically, we knew that this wasn't going to be done because of seasonal work, seasonal time anyway, so.
So if we did lights or whatever, what I'm interested in is there's an event also coming up in November. I just need to know what I'm doing for November, the second weekend. So lights, at least see if we're gonna do something. you know, to.
Lights would make sense.
Lights make sense and seatbelt makes sense because what that does is it creates the traffic flow pattern. If you're not getting into a situation where in order to do the seatwall, then you have to put down, you know, some kind of laments that then you mess up where you're gonna put in your irrigation system. So like, it's speaking to phasing. But to me, those things would be the most valuable because of what the lighting, like Craig said, that would also help with the streetscape altogether and creating more light in town. So
Yeah, and those are the big visible things anyway.
yeah, and if we can get those done before the second weekend of November, that's awesome. Otherwise, I just have to plan differently.
And that's where big portion.
Just to get that, because I'm just interested. I mean, we'll work either way, but it's not a big deal, but just whatever we can do to get that fence down again.
That's just coming down today or tomorrow.
Okay, got it.
That'll be huge.
Because the more stuff you do where you're digging, right, and then we get into the early cold weather, and you get into those sort of stuff where you're digging, you're doing, like putting in.
Well, right, I mean, we're down without, the only thing left for digging is the trunk lines for the irrigation, and they're shallow. I mean, they're not, it's not everywhere, so that, the best time to do that is when we wanna put them in, which would be probably the very next step.
Yeah, before the rest of March,
Yeah.
right?
We don't want, I really don't want a bunch of pipes sticking up in the ground and.
Yeah, there's the least intrusive stuff, right? Yeah, that's my point, the least intrusive stuff, the Christmas market and other things coming up since we're going to season already.
But, the chili cook-off coming in September, the fire pit should be ready for that. And the park should be, it should be cleaned up to the point where it's cleaned up, you know, for as much as it's going to be until we start again next year.
Speaking of cleanup, can you, I've heard a number of comments about this, so I'm gonna bring it up because I haven't heard it addressed. The rocks behind the concession, the randomly placed, semi-randomly placed rocks creating a no parking area. Are those permanent? Are those?
No, that was to indicate, it was to give us space to get, you know, for the pumper and all that, but they're gonna be moved back. But that's about where the parking lot is gonna end. Once
So
we,
there won't be parking behind the concession building?
there will be, but the parking lot gets smaller because of putting the sidewalk back there.
So where those rocks are,
That represents kind of the edge, or the curve for the new layout in the parking lot.
and there's still intended to be no parking on that side of the parking lot.
Yeah, it's tight, but that's what we designed.
It's standard.
That's that's what's on the drawings from, DHM.
But until that part of the project
We can move,
comes
yeah,
up, can't we?
we're gonna move, yeah, we'll move them out, we might move them out this week. So I get-
Okay, so that's all part of the cleanup that you
Yeah.
anticipate?
We'll probably move them back up closer to the building so people don't walk in. You know, that with the low E there, we don't want people walking
Yeah,
along that and banging their head, so. But we'll move it up, you know, a couple feet from the building. Oh, one other question I got, on the fire pit, what I plan for controls, it's got an automatic control system that, you know, monitor, kind of like your home furnace, monitors the flame that goes out, it shuts down, it'll try to restart it like 2 or 3 times and then it'll lock it out. I'm also planning to put an emergency stop button on the corner of the building, near where the monument is there.
yeah.
So that if anything happens, you just go push that. You can get it so that you can just, you know, twist it or pull it to reset it. Or you can have it lock out so that you can't reset it without a key. Which is kind of my thinking on it, is if we have an emergency, it gets locked out and the fire pit is shut down until such time as somebody in authority could grab the key from inside the building and reset it. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Only if there's 30 copies of that key scattered throughout town.
Yeah, well, there'll be one copy inside the building, so if you get inside the building, which I think everybody knows the combination to the padlock.
All
that's on
people
it
who
now.
should, don't say it on, you know.
No, I won't. I won't. But that's a thought, is somebody's gonna have to decide how they plan to operate the fire. I mean, it's gonna consume gas, and I would assume we don't want this thing running 24/7.
No, we don't want it randomly coming on or even timed coming on. It needs to be on for events or with some forethought.
That's an interesting conversation because I think you could actually,
There could be a
That's an-
certain ambiance to the town that
well,
goes
no,
on for, but
it could be a real attraction to
To just congregate somewhere.
to livening up and looking like downtown is not,
dead.
one step short of a cemetery.
Good point.
So there might be some thought given to that. As long as it's relatively tamper proof, because that's what I see. If it's sitting right there for God and everybody to whack, whatever they want to, that thing is gonna be needing to be reset constantly, in order to be functional at all, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword.
Can you do a break glass kind of access to it?
Is there some code that we need to have that?
No, there's no code for it. The code is met by the manual valve that's in the control box, to shut the gas off, but you'd have to get a screwdriver to get to it.
I'm trying to, I mean, short of an orifice blowing out and causing a surgery, I don't know what, I'm not sure.
Well, how would you turn it off at the end of the day?
Well, if it's got these these automated controls that you're describing, then isn't that how it gets turned on?
Well, but somebody's gotta flip a switch.
Do we have a timer option?
We could put a timer option in. We could put that,
It should absolutely have a timer. It should have some kind of programmable.
and that was my thought, is inside the building, you set up a timer, which would turn it on and turn it off. Now you've got now you got the issue of it automatically coming on and automatically going off doesn't bother me, but automatically coming on does.
If it was managed in some type of a schedule, I honestly am questioning if it's our purview. It is our purview because it's ambiance, but I also think Parks has a say in it, like a pretty big say.
Because it's parks.
Because it's Parks. The only concern I have from a safety standpoint is tourists like throwing things in it, which I know sounds really stupid, but I can see like
It'll happen.
tourists like
It'll happen.
I
drinking,
guarantee you'll have.
like, and so like potentially putting, like burning something that was big, that could blow out. That would be the only time I could ever see the emergency and shut off being used, like if some jack from Denver decides to burn.
Well, there's an emergency shut off, but there needs to be a consequence for activating it. When I say consequence, it's gonna get shut. It's just going to be shut
It's
off.
gonna be
all
too
the time.
tempting for someone to go by.
It will be shut off all the time. I mean, if we're willing to face.
Well, the answer to that, we could put, the emergency shut off can be like I said, it could be just a push button. You push it, it stays off until you reset it, which you can either reset it by pulling it back out again or twisting it. Those are the two types that are available, which means anybody can turn it back on. Or we can have it, once it's been tripped, it stays off until somebody, authority turns it back on.
I think Parks needs to decide, honestly. I don't think this is our show, but that's me.
Well, it's good to hear the input though.
It's not Parks' responsibility to create
It's a town.
an attractive, it's part of our charge too,
Yes.
to contemplate how this asset might improve the climate for visitors.
So would you envision weekends or would you envision every night?
No, not,
Because-
maybe every evening in the summer, maybe. In the wintertime, probably Friday, Saturday, and even early Sundays. If it was me,
I mean, remember all what our gas bills were in our own personal residences and businesses last winter. And well, that's gonna be a huge chunk of change, and when all of a sudden the town is turning around and paying this exorbitant gas bill because the fire pit is eating that all up.
Trying to heat up Georgetown.
Yeah. I just, it's gonna take a lot of thought and input and devil's advocate before. I get it being on at certain times, and I'm only one vote.
I think being on at certain times is cool, but I think it's gotta be planned and calculated, and I don't know if when there's no one, is a fire pit gonna keep people in town?
Well, right, that's what we don't know, so since we only have the winter coming up, we don't have to worry about a summer schedule now. So we could just decide, like, we're gonna start it at Christmas market, and we're gonna do it for the days that it's.
Well, Christmas market is done,
Yeah.
and Big Orange Sheep is done.
Yeah.
We've got lots of different, how about we would like to engage with parks and have this conversation, and the town. This isn't something that we're gonna decide today.
No, but I think from what I've heard, what my sense is in terms of what to tell the electrician we want, I'm thinking that we need a 24-hour programmable timer, 24/7 programmable timer inside the building that we can set however we would need to set it. And then I think the emergency stop button on the outside needs to be unlocked so that you can turn it on, turn it off. As long as you're within the time frame that the town allows the fire pit to operate, you could turn it on and off externally.
Yeah, and that's all gonna be controlled by the.
And the timer would set the periods, and then, if we need to do more than that, we'll have to figure out what we need to do and how to do it. But I think those two would be the minimum required. Basically, it gives you a local on-off switch.
Sure, the more changeable access you have to a timer, the better off you are, and now they can log into, you can use different systems with different timers. So that if you're doing an event that goes from 8 to 4, then the thing will turn off automatically. If you decide later, we decide to go status quo right now with what we're doing with using the fire pit, and then assess the cost and assess the actual, ROI of having a fire pit on all the time when businesses close at 5. Then you can, then we can look at that in the future, then have that programmability in the future, and the more flexibility with a change, the better. I would also recommend looking into what our insurance requires, and with regard to safety and shut off valves and restart on shut off valves in case there's some kind of an issue where we think that we're overriding it and turning it back on, but there's a strange leak and calling out Craig for something.
I'm not gonna.
Backloads, firefighter.
But in terms of the, Paul brings up a really good point. If we can program that remotely and activate it remotely, then we're not scrambling around on Saturday morning, the first weekend of Christmas market, looking for somebody from Road Bridge who's, got the key to the whatever cabinet. So it could be even Bluetooth with an app. So,
Just to give you a perspective, the fire pit will burn somewhere in the order of 350,000 BTU per hour, which is roughly 3 times what a typical home furnace would be.
Can you say that again? What was that again?
350,000 BTU per hour. So it's not insignificant. The other thing to keep in mind is, so that's one energy cost that, would be borne by the town. The other is when those heaters are on inside they're 3,000 kW each. And there's 10 of them, I think, 10, 12, something like that. That is a new addition to Christmas market. You get all of them going, and that's the electric meter is gonna go like this.
Climate change, right here.
Yeah. So
So we don't need them in the summer anymore.
2 weekends a year, not bad, and that's why they're off. The breakers are all turned off, they're on individual breakers, so. Just, in terms of renting out booth space and stuff like that, those are changes that are definitely cost to the town that were not present before this year.
It'll be interesting to
Bob, how big
evaluate
is the
this.
pipe For this, I'm looking at a gas calculator, that's why I'm asking.
It's,
Yeah.
we, from the meter to the gas pit, it's 1.25 inches.
So that would be 305,
350,000,
yeah, but so cubic feet of gas per hour is 305.
yeah,
That's the usage.
something like that. I mean, it's, the pipe is at, once it gets to the control box, it's connect down to, 3/4 inch, which is what is required. It's the line drop that you're concerned about over distance. Keep the pressure up. Okay, that's all I have.
Thanks, Bob. If you need help getting that fence down, let me know, good morning.
No, right, I'm bringing my truck over and we're gonna keep a few sections there and the rest is gonna go back to the ice skating park.
I just may I just say thank you very much for all the work that you all are doing and the fact that you're doing as volunteers, this level of grant seeking and grant administration is incredible because those two things are full-time jobs with people who are experts on their own. And so to have this and see sometimes where we have a delay because we're working with a governmental agency is a big deal.
Just to clarify, I'm getting paid to manage this.
Management.
Right, so just, I do a lot of stuff on my own nickel anyway.
My statement still stands.
I just don't want to think that,
Yeah, for the record.
I don't want any more credit than I'm due.
No, but it's pretty great that you all are doing this.
It does take a lot of time to, keep things moving and that, but, the town takes good care of me, so,
Thank you.
and I appreciate that.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks for informing us, Mr. Hamilton. We appreciate it. All right, Jess Edwards is not able to be here today, so her report is in your packet. And so you would take a look at that.
Should you wanna weigh in on her report, Mary?
Are you pretty familiar with them?
I went through it, there's a question that she asks that I think needs to be addressed on the last page of her report. Just for timeliness. You may have some other comments. Well, and then we need to talk about the tourism conference.
Yeah, that's what,
What's the question?
yeah, that was.
The question is, on this page, this page, right above it, it's the old Fall Ideas Scarecrow Contest.
Okay.
She kind of heard about the Scarecrow contest. We kind of got her to speed with some of the high points and pitfalls of the Scarecrow contest during our last one-on-one meeting with her. She's really trying hard to come up with some stuff to kind of not just project us through the high season, but through the winter as well. And so she's got a pretty thoughtful set of events. And then the other piece is like what she wants to do for marketing. She's trying really hard to find some new marketing angles for us to, bring people in, especially in the off season. The Scarecrow contest was kind of a mixed review. Some of the businesses are telling her they really want to see it again. And some of the businesses are like, if I ever see a Scarecrow, I will shut my store down and move to Netherlands. I don't know, I'm just kidding.
So we just need to give her some direction so she's not spinning her wheels.
What is the basis of the pushback?
For the Scarecrow contest?
I have a question.
Can somebody else?
Paul doesn't like scarecrows.
It's, I don't know, it's like put scarecrows around town, decorate them, and then it's kind of like a wreath contest. But my question is, what does that do with Georgetown?
Yeah, that's brought up here.
We used to have gardens.
Yes.
I like that.
Sorry, we still do.
somebody put 100 and something foot peony hedge in this town, but because there were 3 peonies in the yard.
Anyway, let's
Some other people don't. No, but that's my only question with it, is what does it have to do with Georgetown? And that's where somebody else I saw put on here, Greg and I were talking about it, that it's not a farming community.
That's what we explained to her, is that the biggest pushback when it existed
I don't care.
was that it was an agro, is that it's, so this happened like 5 years ago. We had a person who occupied this position who did a scarecrow contest. And it was, she kind of did it independent of this commission, which was the biggest offense, is that we didn't know. But everyone's like, why are there scarecrows everywhere? Why are people yelling at us about scarecrows? The biggest pushback was that we're not agriculture. That's what offended some people. My issue with it was it never got cleaned up. That was 1000% my issue.
Yeah, I have.
Is that we had scarecrows like dying on the street in like November.
And
That was
tape on the pole.
tape, it was bad. That was I don't personally see an issue with the inception of said event. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's that great, honestly. That's just my personal opinion on it. I was pissed about how crappy town looked after when the scarecrows were blowing away
Yeah, it was.
and dying.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind too is, although we don't see Excel paying a lot of attention to the polls, they do own the polls. And that concerns me a little bit, that people are attaching things to somebody else's property without permission. So that's another factor to me.
can we come up, if we want something fall-like, please, there has to be some other ideas out there besides.
And
She's trying really hard to do something in the fall.
Yeah.
In Canada, a business operator just do this on their storefront anyway? Does it have to be?
But how many people are totally in love with that?
I think it's segmented, honestly. I just think it's a vocal segment of businesses that felt it was like this huge benefit, and she's trying to, again, she's trying to balance out. She's got a lot of people who give her a lot of opinions on how things should be.
She does, in Georgetown.
Yeah.
The six of us.
Contest fees, it's
Plus
just you
more.
Halloween, or is that just?
It was like a late September, early October thing.
Okay.
The one, here's the things I will say that occurred from this. We got press, like, we did 9 News came and did a shot of Sixth Street before the scarecrows looked bad.
There's our benefit.
That we did have a benefit of it. The weekend, the town looked really cute for the one weekend that the scarecrows looked put together. It was when the disintegration began that it kind of took a turn.
I thought the town,
So there needs to be parameters, the install date, the removal date. Those are more.
I feel like if she wants to execute it to give people something, but I also am nefarious, there's something else that she could do for fall. She's got, again, a super vocal group on Sixth Street has really kind of dug into her and said, we do nothing for that, the collectively.
Where are
That's a group
they?
of like 4 people.
Singapore is always.
And so, and she's like, what do I do? And I was like, well, I'm gonna keep making, keep working with them and give, let them, but I think it's just, huh?
Invite them to a meeting.
I like it.
Yeah.
That didn't,
Like some meetings.
I think it would kind of make sense to skip the
That's-
scarecrow contest and give us time to, like, if we can think of something that's like easy to achieve in the meantime, great, but it sounds like between cleanup and pushback, it might be more of a headache than, like, she's got a lot of stuff that she's planning on.
one thing I like about this is that we don't really have to do anything for it. Like, we, again, as in this collective, we just say, fine, you guys wanna do this is the dates, if you don't clean up your scarecrow, then we're gonna fine you. I don't know if we can actually do that.
Okay,
we just
I'll
talk about it
go
ourselves.
clean up the scarecrows, really, if that's the issue, I will take 25 minutes out of my day, I will beg the twins to pull the pickup truck around and. throw some stuff in the
You
back
see what
of
I'm
the truck.
saying?
I do.
It
I
pissed
do,
me
it
off that
just
they
should-
just sat there looking like.
I know,
really
Dan,
sad.
and that both just, we laughed for a month and a half.
I know you guys,
The crap.
Kevin around in the mud.
oh no, people thought it was great.
But again, remember,
So it's like a low key investment.
but there is an investment into the materials to get it. Then there was outreach to the businesses or the organizations that were going to each adopt one and decorate it. and there's a.
Did we provide materials?
They didn't buy their own scarecrows, they didn't, I think they put the decorations on, but we provided. I think we
Another thing that
provided
happened,
material.
there was a business that, promoted itself. And people didn't like that.
Oh, their scarecrow is business promotion, I think it's fine if they all did it, if everybody knew that they were doing their pumpkin spice decoration. Each doing, I'm so sorry, a scarecrow decoration, each, that was for their business, I think it's a great thing, promote your business, but if you're gonna be part of what we're all doing, it's like, we always tell people, if you wanna volunteer, they're just gonna show for
I
yourself.
think most of them were.
But if our outlays, nothing cares.
If I
Most of them
remember
are actually
correctly.
done by so the school, every class did one.
That's sweet.
Let's do it.
I mean, I think, yeah,
Might
if she
stop
wants
it.
to execute it, I don't have.
If she can hammer out some guidelines. I think that's important, that we take the lessons learned and incorporate that into a reboot of this.
I just think what was unique to Georgetown, I mean, I think it's great, do it, but if we could think of something else, which we can't, so why not?
So do we have any input as to when we would like her to try to target this? Is there any?
I think everybody's on their own, we have to figure out where we're putting the different things, that's gonna be your biggest push
date-wise?
out. I think before October 1st. But now she has
Let's
3 weeks.
Well, that's,
Randy's is October 9th through October 27th.
what is that timeframe?
That's Granby, and it's October 9th through October 27th, Chaffey counties.
Oh, are you looking up scarecrow?
Yes, they're.
Okay, I just wanted
They're everywhere,
to.
they, I'll find out communities to do it. Now, granted, Granby and Chaffey County are arguably more agricultural than we are. But Eastern Clear Creek County's, good agricultural. Anyway, that's the general timeframe is that early to mid-October.
Everything doesn't have to be unique, that's the thing.
What's that?
I mean, everything doesn't have to be unique, I guess we could have like the Bears are turning over the trash cans festival, so.
We could.
We all sit around and write trash can.
More unique.
I think that's the best idea we've had in like a year. The other thing she did get is she does have the Mustangs coming this month, and I believe she told us the date on that is. She.
Can we do this? We hired an expert, can we just let her, if she wants to do it, she can do it, if she doesn't wanna do it, don't do it.
Thank you.
Okay, I like that.
The
Okay,
16th, the Mustangs are coming.
Then the other thing she's asking us if we're supporting her to attend her second page of the report. I'd like to attend the 2023 Colorado Governor's Tourism Conference.
Yes.
She gives us some prices, all in favor, yay, sorry, I didn't mean
You're fine.
Let continuing education, professional development stop.
Okay, moving on.
I wanna see her prices and see if they're realistic, cause I go to that thing.
I've been to it,
And I will tell you, the smaller the town, the more expensive the hotels.
I think
Oh yeah, she's
they
able to drive, so she can stay down and drive up.
have to capitalize on.
She's also.
They do, I mean, I'm telling you, there's like $200 a month or more. When I know. And but you can drive up, I can't see at night, so I can't drive out.
she's got a La Quinta here for $82 a night, but crying out loud.
Yeah,
It's
and
too
then
nice.
she's underpriced,
You
and then
know.
also the fee to go to it, the show fee to go to it is $400.
Yeah, all right,
Okay.
That's in the budget.
we'll pass it on to her
Yeah.
then.
She doesn't have a per diem for food, she said
She's
she would
per diem
cover,
for food
she
as
said
well.
she would cover her own food, which I don't think is right.
I don't think so.
And the whole thing is underrated, right? But she can see like you they still have rooms, but they're going out.
And they have
About a half
a.
hour. Yeah.
Okay.
She's stressed.
Yes.
It's
Can we revisit Mustangs on September 16th?
I believe that's the date. I'm not, I am.
I understand.
When we used to have more, car shows, I used to speak up a little bit more about, the condition of the streets. If I were a car owner and came to park my car on Sixth Street or any of the side streets in the historic commercial district and saw all that gravel and sand, I would not be happy.
Thank you.
So can we please, before this date, make sure everything is swept up
Is Rick gonna be joining us soon, hopefully?
He said he was gonna be here, yeah, he said he was gonna leave.
And I think that needs to be a standard
'cause it's
practice
a road.
anytime we have a car show.
I will mention that to him. for
It
sure.
was really disappointing that it was in such poor condition for Labor Day weekend.
Yeah,
Well, and
and I
then
know it's
Kevin
raining a lot, but.
had a series of $2 million plus cars on Sixth Street and it was sand blowing.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's not good.
No.
So if you haven't heard, the plan is that the cars are gonna stage outside here between Town Hall and the Hotel de Paris. So because there's another, isn't that the same day that there's another, Mountain Jams going on or something?
I have Mountain Jam, so the 16th is gonna be a big.
Yeah, so we have other activities going on that day, so we're, trying to allow for traffic to flow as best as possible in case you wanna go up to that pass that, is now known by another name.
Yeah, but aren't they supposed to actually go on 7th Street, but not Rose anyway, so it's. But I say we send everybody up, cars between the second.
No, so no.
Something I think.
I know, it's the people that move their.
Yeah,
It's a road and bridge.
It's a road and bridge sign.
It's been brought to the town administrator's attention, hopefully it will be taken care of before they're used again.
Sorry, Paul, I see the issue.
wait, it.
When I was in
Oh.
There's a couple of them, yeah. We can do better than that, people.
Yeah, I agree.
I just try to see the letters.
All right, so any more commentary on, Justice report?
No, I think she's doing a great job.
Yep,
Yes, that
Of
seems to be.
the social media activities been
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Got some influencer kind of action going on Instagram, well,
Yeah.
she's working in the right direction, just like she said she would.
She sent me an email, attached, we got some press, but it was local press for the, for Hazel Miller, which was nice to see.
Okay, on to, wayfinding signage. Most of you have this packet for reading House of Signs. You asked me to have a figure for the sign located at the visitor center. And so that's on page 3, basically $20,268. And so, the final design is attached behind that. And, the only thing I have to say about that is, you asked to have more contrast between the lettering and the background. And so, the letters, you cannot make it look metallic in the, mock-ups. But it was gold,
Okay.
metallic gold is what's down there now. And metallic silver is brighter. So I told him to go with metallic silver. And the other thing is we are the silver queen of the Rockies. So I think silver is more appropriate anyway. So just wanted to draw your attention to
And
that.
everything is spelled correctly, that's.
Everything. And
Well, no,
he also
that's-
shows the removal of the county offices sign. So if you look at the very last page,
Thanks.
yeah, so that's gone, so Paul, you have to explain that you're not county office.
Where's the prison?
Where's the principal's file? Okay, so anyway, so that brings us to, so I fulfilled my assignment, that brings us to budget 2024, because this number was important for the budget, so,
Do you, then should I grab Mary?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because in the whole scope of all the wayfinding, we're probably in like what, the low 6 figures? Like 150 for all of it, for all the wayfinding, every single sign, probably about 125 maybe.
Yeah,
But this sign's 20,000.
yeah,
Which this is, we know this is the granddaddy stuff.
it is,
This is the,
this is the biggie. Yeah, this one rose to the top because of its influence and its importance.
you guys wanna see the sign,
To business, yeah.
And that's just for the pretty on the metal portion.
That is just for the county.
so it's not the install.
No, it is.
Oh, it is the
Yeah,
install.
it's just not the frame that is, it is more the interest.
Did we determine
So
whether,
it says 20,000.
let's, so, do you wanna talk about budget or do you wanna talk about the signs?
I think we should talk about both.
Well, but the signs are a portion of the budget, right? We can decide whether we want to put those in. We know what the number is now, and I think that's what Kevin's point is. We know what that number is now for that particular sign.
Change the cost more.
When we did
So-
our work session,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't make that.
you were taking your kid to college.
Anyway,
We had a line for signage in there. We considered it.
So I would, my recommendation is to round this number up and, just say $21,000 for the sake of, setting budget.
Is there a possibility that we have budget this year? That we haven't, because there are things we've not expensed.
I believe in spending money that we can allocate. I don't like to carry money over for a couple of reasons. Main one is we need to execute our mission. And spending $21,000, if we have it this year, helps us fulfill our mission. That's good news because we also have to do our report of how effective we are.
Okay, can you repeat that now that our treasurer is here so that we're all on the
We
same?
would like to spend
It's so
$1
nice to be
million
wanted.
You are one, and you are our guy, you are our spirit guy.
Yeah.
So we
Our
were,
money guy.
we're wondering if we have $21,000 this year to spend on the sign at the visitor center to update it. I guess that's the question you need to hear. Is it yes or no?
it's,
Well, off the top of my,
Don't do any
off the top of
research.
my head, I would say absolutely not.
Okay, and.
But I'm working on August numbers. And I'm kind of hoping I'll have them done today. And if for some reason my brain is way off, I mean, it's, part of the big issue is the lodging tax.
Yes, understood.
And, you know, so,
And any progress on that?
Sorry.
I think I know the answer. There's
she
one,
was
yeah.
supposed to send, okay, so Airbnb, no, ghosting, I mean, they won't answer when you put in calls. There are 2 or 3 short-term rental vendors that are on their.
On top of their
on
game.
top, yes, and
It's PPC, no one's watching, you can say whatever.
That's the problem.
so,
just watching.
but Expedia, VRBO, that group,
Watch later.
she was supposed to send me a letter that they were sending out to all their participants, explaining how they had to have it set up and that they would get the 2% with their distributions and they would be required to pay it to us. So, I haven't gotten that letter yet. She told me it would have been end of last week. I need to follow up with her. But with the
Okay,
holidays.
here's another scenario. House of Signs is not charging us sales tax, which is great, and appropriate. But they would like a 50% down payment. Can we afford to put down the down payment to show our, intention? The down payment would be $10,134. Do we have that?
How long will it take for them to create the
Yeah,
sign
we have
once it's ordered?
That's the problem, is the scope, Kevin, because if we do the down payment now and then we set them up on the thing, we're gonna have to just, but we can schedule it and say, we'll give you the down payment for this time.
Well, and so my
And
next,
then the balance goes into this.
my next question is, when we meet again, Mary will have those figures and knowing how we survived this summer so far and what our budget looks like for the rest of the year, and so maybe it's not ordered now, maybe we're in a position where we can make that call in October when we.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm hoping I can have an answer this afternoon. If not, it would be probably late tomorrow afternoon. I've got a meeting in Denver tomorrow morning.
That's very reasonable, so whatever you.
So,
I don't mean to beat this particular topic to death, but I'm doing really basic math in my head, knowing what one hotel's sales are annually. And through July, just that business alone is paid between $27,000 and $30,000 to the town of Georgetown in the form of lodging tax. And this says that we've collected a grand total of 23,000. 24,000. And
24,000 as of July.
But are you looking at the entire sales tax
So that would be-
number, or are you
I'm
looking at the
looking at
lodging
2%
tax?
of what I know
Okay,
their
okay.
sales are for those,
Okay,
for that period of time. And that's one entity. That's one large entity, but one entity. And so that would imply that we're literally not collecting we're lodging tax from anybody other than that one business.
Well, no, and I can't
I know.
show you individual, however,
I know.
I can give you, everybody this last month, for July lodging that was due in August.
Mhm.
I had 6 short-term rentals that did not file. I think 4 of the 6 have since filed because I called them after 10 days. And of those 4, 3 of them were zeros.
Oh, my point is forget the short-term rentals, pretend we don't have them.
Right?
We have one entity one lodging entity that would have paid at least that $24,000 to the.
Well, I
And,
don't know off the top of my head, but I could check that, certainly.
yeah, so I'm just, the number doesn't say, if we're gonna make budget decisions, we have to make them based on at least a solid understanding of what we're looking at.
Well,
And this doesn't, and I'm doing that math, I'm like, well, so I'm making a decision based on the fact that we collected $24,000 in lodging tax through the end of July.
let me go down
That can't be
and
right.
run a report and I will come back up because I think you're maybe off. Maybe your information is incorrect, I don't know. Because what is here is what we've collected. And we don't have, everybody in our municipality has pretty much been very good about reporting, they need little reminders here and there. But it's just not adding up to, most of the short-term rentals, I'd say at least 75% of the ones we have are under $100 each month. So if you want, I can go run.
You don't need to go do anything right now, I'm just bringing it up that.
Mary and I looked at stuff, last week?
a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and, we kind of came to the determination, I looked at 22 lodging. And I think that came out to, if we based it on 22 numbers, it was 113 total.
It was about half of what we had.
Because we budgeted 250, then split 50-50. So, I think that was overstated and that was on information that, Lynette was getting from George Marlowe.
Okay, maybe this is where the disconnect is. Are you allocating 50-50 the
Yes.
revenue you're receiving right now?
Yes,
Okay, so you've actually collected $48,000 in lodging taxes.
as of June lodging, yeah,
That explains it, thank you.
okay.
One question I have, do you think that the numbers that we're seeing, do they correlate to sales tax numbers? Because when we work that math backwards, which we've done a few times, we see like the basis of what we know is the 4%
I've pulled out a few just particular vendors, but then it's also hard because if you're pulling it off the sales tax report, they also have other things that are taxable, like, snacks and stuff like that.
Sure.
So they're gonna be off a little bit, you can't tie in. I know that there were some vendors in the past that were deducting any bookings for VRBO Expedia. And I've told them, you can't do that anymore, you need to get it set up right, from what I've been told. I think they are doing that now, they're not showing that they're deducting it now, but they're gonna have to go back. It's very confusing, especially if it's part of a corporation, because it's not being done in-house here. It's being done in Georgia or wherever.
Sure.
And they don't know,
So I guess if we're looking at like the whole number of sales tax, lodging sales tax, that, and knowing that includes like some periphery stuff, like chips or,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else would include besides snacks, like.
We're,
Cool towels.
we were,
Yeah.
the last time I checked, which was I think 2 months ago for 2023, we were a little bit short.
That's what I'm trying to,
Yes.
that's where, so if we know that, like.
When I say a little bit, and I'm going off my feeble brain, 20,000, a couple months ago short, which is quite a bit.
That's kind of where I'm going, is that
Yes.
we can correlate, because the sales tax number it's firm, it's absolute, and it can't be deviated from, as long as it's being reported accurately by the vendor, and the vendors are generally reporting that number accurately. So if we have that number as the baseline, then we can figure out where the pitfall comes from, does it mean that we can collect the pitfall? That I can't quantify, but we can say definitively that we know we're missing that much money. And that helps us in the budget.
I firmly believe that eventually, now how long it's gonna take, I don't know, that we will get all this back.
I mean, legally, it's kind of the rule.
I have been told by 3 different people that Travelocity, if they go through Travelocity, that they say, oh, we only pay it once a year. Okay, well, you're gonna have a lot of penalty and late fees.
They don't care.
But
Large
that's,
corporations don't care about fines and stuff. It's cheaper to run their business and take money and actually to hide money and then get fined than it is to actually give you what they owe. They know that. The fines are so low because of tort reform and everything else that they don't care about it. So that's why I'm wondering if it's real. You know what, it would be very interesting if we get a business in this town, a large hotel or a hotel in this town, to break out a percentage number, not their actual number, of what their sundry revenue sort of base is, as opposed to what their room night base is, and then you can get a general idea of what percentage to pull out of that same tax thing that you're talking about.
I think we have one
Yes.
hotel that probably does sundries, if I'm being completely.
I mean, they probably have a washing machine over there at the Mountain Lodge and the other place where people seem to stay a while.
But again, this is a bookkeeping thing that bottom
It's
line, everyone, the hotels are paying, the VRBOs need to pay, the owners need to pay. And we, the town, need to hold them accountable for paying the 2% lodging tax to us. Business promotions, I'm assuming we're supporting the town's position in that, and whatever we need to do to strengthen our bite to get those funds paid. And I'm sorry, I've said this one-on-one, and I've said this here. If we have, if it comes down to the VRBOs that are, having the issue, and I realize I'm using that name generically, then why are we relicensing them in 2024 if they haven't paid?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
But that's 2 separate problems, but I mean, you're correct. if people aren't paying them, it's a very.
But what Craig brings up, which is true, the bulk of the money is coming from the motels. There's no way that our short-term rentals are coming in at the tax amount that the hotels are bringing in. They just, we don't have the, the rooms are, so.
So, two things, just a quick pencil, Mary's absolutely right, we don't have a lot to, what in. So, I mean, if those numbers are true and accurate, and we're doing all of this on a cash, not on an accrual basis, and we're not, and we're only getting half of what's being collected, frankly, we should probably stop spending now. I mean, if you run just a real quick math, we're gonna deficit spend this year, as of right now.
Not because
No,
you're covering debts, right?
Yeah, we're gonna deficit spend.
Okay.
If we don't collect that money and we do it on a cash basis, not on an accrual basis, we are gonna deficit spend. So, no, we can't buy the spice.
Can't even afford the scarecrows now.
I know we can't, no, realistically, we probably can't.
Where did you,
We are on track to deficit spend.
where
And
did
that's
you
the right
notice out
track.
that? Where did you notice out the deficit?
Where did I notice it?
No, what did we notice?
At about minus $25,000, and that's if we cut. A number of items in half, i.e. education and training, media advertising, and special events. Like if we, and I don't even know what we're spending money on in some of these categories, but if we were to hack those in half, we're gonna deficit spend. So that answers that question, I think, because it doesn't sound like we have any resolution to the collection issue, which leads me to my second point, and I know I asked this last time, and I'd like to become a regular part of this conversation, is what legal action, how have we engaged the town's attorney and his firm, or somebody who knows what they're doing in this regard, if they don't, how have we engaged them to solve this problem? Because it's gone beyond a simple administrative function for Mary. It's not fair to her that this entire thing is being put on her. This thing needs to rise to a level. They are violating municipal law by not giving us that money. And Mary's absolutely right. I hate to do it to those guys, but, and I said this last time too, if there is a vacation rental platform that is functionally paying this, then we need to direct all of our vacation rental people to that platform and say, if you want your license renewed, this is the platform that you'll use to book and none other, because you will be directly responsible for remitting these funds on a monthly basis. And we aren't gonna care who's collecting them. We want our money. And that's what the law says. The law doesn't say, well, only if the platform that you choose to advertise your book through pays us, otherwise it's okay. That's not what it says. So where's Jerry? Number one. Number two, I'm with Mary. We've got to drop the hammer someplace. And if we're not willing to drop the hammer actually on these booking outfits, then I guess we've got to go after the property owners, and that sucks because we did not represent to them that this was going to be a crisis.
Well, because the problem is they are being charged for this. And Airbnb, they sent, I was copied on this email from one of our short-term rental people. We have an agreement with the state and we've been paying the state. Well, you talk to the state and they go, we're not getting it. So I don't think they can pay the state because there wouldn't be a place for it.
The complexity of the issue has reached the point where it requires some subject matter expertise that I don't think we've engaged yet. And we can talk about it for 45 minutes once a month in this meeting, and Mary can spend 4 or 5 hours a week trying to resolve it in perpetuity, and we're not gonna resolve it.
So can we put it on the agenda for next month with some answers to these questions that have been brought up? Can we get some legal opinion, Rick, from Jerry, and to what action steps the town can take? And so that we have that information, and then this will also, you know, you're gonna bring back information for our budget standing next month so that we can see.
Well,
where
I'll
we're at.
actually, I will email you as soon as I have numbers. I'm just looking at this, like, you've got, media advertising at 37,000 this year. You're not even gonna come close to that, so I don't know, you might be able to pull off half, you know, like the down payment. But,
Just on
Why don't we table this, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
I'm so
you're good.
sorry, table this till October, I think the sign thing, I know that when we were doing budget meeting last, the meeting that we were talking about, that we actually save money in certain areas, which makes me worry less about the deficit spending, but I do think that we should, the signs is a great thing, House of Signs has been really good with us, I don't think we're gonna be able to get the full thing till next year anyway. Why don't we table those signs until we can do it, hopefully they'll stay with us and won't raise our prices. And frankly, I've asked over and over and over again, how we're gonna collect short-term rental income without impacting the owners very well, but, we didn't get any movement with the county until the owners, we started focusing on the county and the owners, getting them involved in some grassroots movement to try to make those things happen. I think that's the only way it's gonna go. The short-term rental market right now is starting to hurt because people are realizing how it does things like this, and also how owners are kind of taking advantage of it because it's a business model rather than what it used to be. So I think that there might be more impetus to move forward if they start getting some major pushback from municipalities and from people on the ability for them to even work with their guests or with their owners. I loathe pressuring, people who are just trying to get an extra dollar for what they have, but at the same time, I think it's gonna be the only way we're gonna move. If we can move forward with this and just say that we're gonna put these two things on the agenda next month, we can move to the next item.
Yeah, I feel like we have inadvertently put Mary Sims in a position that she does not deserve. I know you're strong, I respect that, I know you're competent, but I think it's unfair. I know that when I held jobs where I didn't feel heard, it makes me think about leaving. And I don't think you're that type of person, but I don't want you to get that pressure on you. That's unwarranted.
I mean, it's.
So I do think we need to step it up to protect this lady.
I would just, like I said, this is after I close out August, to really buckle down on this. I'm gonna be out for a while, but I'm gonna be working on this at home. And, if you wanna just put off the signs and try to put them in, or put the whole 21,000 in for next year, I have the numbers that we discussed at the work session. And if I can use 21,000 for next year for signs, then I'll put that in and see if we can make that work.
Just on a random side note, while we were kind of wrapping this up, I went to book on a couple of sites just to see what the taxes and fees look like. VRBO is super transparent as far as the breakdown to city, state, municipality. Travelocity is not. Travelocity has a bulk, and I'm trying to book the microtel. It's a bulk set of taxes and fees that comes out to 11.94%, which seems, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
That's fascinating.
So yeah, that was just kind of my side exercise. So I'm booking a room for
She
7
had
nights.
explained to me though, and I have it written downstairs, that what is taxed and what is not.
This is what you get on Travelocity. It's just this blanket,
statement.
right, we collect taxes and
Generic,
fees, but there's no breakdown. Airbnb, VRBO, I haven't done a CE yet, but I just was that was my side.
So Airbnb is showing you with the breakdown,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still not remitting.
Airbnb,
They say they are. Right.
If you look at
To the
it,
state.
Yes, to the state, because they have an agreement with the state.
Realize though that Mary's
Did you see that?
diligence in this though, that, everyone's patting Mary on the back and she deserves that pat on the back because it's the diligence that she has done over the several months of this issue that is providing us with this groundwork, this basis, so that she can answer just about every question that the attorney is gonna need to know as to how to deal with these businesses.
Yeah,
I mean, she has done a lot of that, all of that legwork, basically. You know, and again, thank you for doing that. But it's been enlightening, and we still want our money.
yeah.
Bottom line, we want our money.
So the time is well spent because you're educating yourself on the situation.
Well, and I can educate our short-term rental vendors.
Airbnb has lodging tax broken out. It says
And
Georgetown,
it says Georgetown.
$18.46 for this.
And I do believe in the past month, they took the county lodging off, but it was there until 3 weeks ago.
Local sales tax, local sales and use tax, and then $18. So this particular booking is a $1,000 booking. $1,053. And it's $18.46 in the lodging tax, $24.46 for local sales tax, $26.77 for sales and use tax, and then an additional $41.53 in local sales and use tax, parentheses Georgetown.
Okay,
Moving on.
So I will take your numbers for budget that we had, that we discussed at, the work session. And work with I mean, they're changeable, obviously, but let's see where we come up with there. I won't put in anything this year for signage. I'll put the full 21,000 in next year. And if I have your permission, if I'm $1,000 here or there, if I can adjust some line items to make it work.
So what was the turnaround on the sign? Did you ever, is that buried in here that I
It's
didn't
probably
see?
buried here.
Just out of curiosity.
Oh, so the 21,000, is that just for one sign?
Yes.
But it's the biggest sign. The biggest and the best and the brightest.
And I do want to say that Jerry has been involved, when I was talking to Expedia and VRBO, which is the same, HomeAway, all those are one group. Jerry did get involved and was feeding me language to use, which did help drastically. But Airbnb, you can't even get an email address to, you speak with some customer service person and they said, oh, we'll put an emergency ticket in. Well, the emergency ticket has been 2.5 months and no one's ever reached.
But again, the responsibility lies with the owner of the property. And if they're choosing to use this management company or this platform or whoever to collect, whether they're collecting the number that they're supposed to be taking in, or whether they're not collecting enough from the customer who's paying it, the owner of the property is still responsible.
Yes.
And that's the hard line that we are now forced to decide whether we're gonna follow up on that.
Is, yes or no, is there a platform available to our short-term rental properties that is complying and renewing?
There's one, and I wanna, if I might not have the name right, it's Agoda, and they represent one of our short-term rentals. But then they're like an offshoot of either Airbnb and VRBO, they're like contracted with them somehow to manage.
Sounds like short company.
But they pay, they enforce and pay every month.
Okay, so can did you guys hear that?
Uh-huh.
There's a platform that remits.
And we discussed this, and
Can we
We know about Agoda.
make it a criteria for, and this has got to go to the board of selectmen, I would imagine, from a policy perspective, I would hope, that
that's the one that you can use.
an aspect of renewal will be that you use this platform. If you choose to use another platform, you will be personally responsible for remitting this 2%. We will not accept excuses for failures on the part of your booking platforms. That's not our problem. You have access to this one. they have been compliant, there you go.
I think we can share that information, but bottom line still, the owner right now, whatever platform they use or not, they're still the ones ultimately responsible for that.
But again,
But I can see helping that, but
I would argue that we still have culpability in this because I don't think we collectively, understood what the ramifications of this transition in lodging tax was gonna represent. And so I think that there's an opportunity for us to ease into that, and there is, because it's a booking platform that's compliant. This gets real black and white real quick.
But, okay, just using one of our large hotels. They only use one booking platform, which is not the one that. So I don't know, you're going to piss off people over here or over here because they're going, no, Wyndham only wants us to use this, so then that's a big problem.
That is a completely different, scenario versus the vacation rentals.
yeah, we can separate.
In all honesty, I'm back to where we were, and I don't think that they should be separated. I don't think you should require one thing, not the other, but, I think we're back to where we were. We don't even know if this is legal. Can you require this or not? I think we need to go back to where we're speaking with Jerry. I think that something else would be good to do is to make some outreach to some short-term rental owners who are affected by this and how they perceive from their side and why they choose these sites for what they're doing, because they might be trying to cast a large net. And what we can do to engage them, I think that we'd be better off making them our partners in the beginning and then trying to amp up what they're doing with us. But first we need to speak to an attorney, and then I think that we can speak to some friendly owners that we know that will work with us on those ways who are interested in what we were doing. If that could be something that we make that outreach to. And then, because we can talk about this all day long, and the attorney comes back and says, you can't limit people on what you're doing, you're not a private entity, you're government. We're government. We're limited on what we can do. So I honestly think we're beating a dead horse, and we have a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah, okay, I think we're all on that. I want to point out one more thing about the quote from House of Science. It does expire. It expires January 28th. So.
Plenty of time.
Okay, so just for the record, January.
Okay, your January meeting, you'll have to approve that and we'll have to get them a check.
Okay, all right.
Also, I have a weird feeling that some people have some changes that they would like to request, and can we do that through email so that it's ready for our meeting next week and next month, and we don't have to go over and over and over again, since we've been doing this for 2 years.
On the sign,
I'm asking the chair to make that request.
On which?
House on signs.
Oh,
Okay, so yeah, another.
I just want signs that
Which is
have.
fine.
Yeah, we're
And it's fine to have your, it's fine to do that, I just would like to see it in the email so we can get it there. The other thing is, may I make another request to you, Jen, is that I'm visually impaired. I wear reading glasses,
Okay.
but I'm also visually impaired. I have an eye disease. I can't read a lot of things that I get in paper.
Okay,
And so if somebody comes in and they're gonna speak to us, and if we know about it in advance, can you please ask them to send it electronically, or if we can scan it so that I can scale it in my computer? That's why I use computer for everything I do. I just don't usually talk about that. I can't see most of the things that we do.
a lot of stuff does come up last minute, but yeah, the stuff
If
I
I could do
have.
that, it would be great. Otherwise, I could do it on my phone. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so where do we stand with budget 2024, folks? We worked hard in our work session. Do we feel pretty good about what we discussed?
I think,
Yes.
yeah.
Everything else today, I'm trying to get. So we have this.
I mean, and when I get the first draft that somewhat works, I can shoot that off to all of you and you all can take a look at it and,
It's pretty balanced.
suggest any changes that you might want and things moved around. So,
Does that suit everybody?
yeah, that's great, because
okay,
I'm assuming that's not before us right now, right? What you guys came up with in terms of a proposed budget, I'm not missing it.
no, it's not, I don't have a draft paper copy
Yeah,
yet.
that'd be great to see.
So, yes, I will email it to all of you and then you can make your changes or ask questions, whatever,
All right.
and, we'll make it work somehow, I don't know.
Do you have everything you need from us?
I think so, the only thing was the sign thing, so
Okay.
21,000
Yeah, here.
is,
Will somebody get their packet over to her? The quote. Minus.
Jen can bring one down to me, that's,
Okay, you got one?
yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Here, it's useless to me, like.
And,
There you go.
okay,
So that's everything.
cool. All right.
And again, Rick, I won't commit us to anything financially, I'll let you do that. So, okay, great, thank you again for your expertise and your commitments.
And I'll get with Rick as far as talking to Jerry, what we know,
Yeah,
what we
please.
don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's gonna be all in our conversation.
I'm
You know,
sure.
we're talking about amendments and changing, code and everything to, if we go down that route, so we'll talk first, what is legal, what is not.
Okay.
Well, we
What
were-
can we do?
But we have a work,
Last time was gonna look at short-term rental ordinance
right,
anyway.
we have a board
Yeah,
meeting, a work session that's going to, we've got several topics up, but one of them is going to be that, and so it'd be nice if we kind of had a handle on that information for that meeting when we have that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, good, thank you.
thanks, ma'am.
Town administrator report, Rick, thanks for being so patient and waiting.
well, sorry I'm late, but we had a big Rotary meeting this morning and a big event coming this weekend, so it's called Touch a Truck.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge event. It's what, the third or fourth
Sure.
annual, something like that?
Semi or biannual.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's an opportunity to bring families and kids to see and get inside these large earth moving trucks. And it's a huge fundraiser for Rotary, and they're looking at $26,000 what they're gonna be donated. And all that money goes back to the school, and to the kids and scholarships and stuff. So it's amazing of what that does to our community and everybody. So if you don't have anything to do, I encourage you to come this weekend. It's gonna be at the quarry down there off of Evergreen. So anyway, that's that. You know, there's always issues going on right now. I feel like every day there's a big bomb that goes off and they're trying to deal with it. So we had a busted service line, water service line that flooded the streets down on Griffith, Taos, and I had tons of calls of, you know, what's going on? But it did finally get fixed yesterday, and so what happened was it was a water leak, and there was 2 taps into the water main line. They contracted a guy from Denver to come out because they couldn't find a local contractor. They didn't call 811. They started digging and they hit another water line. And there's no turnoff valve. So basically, either you turn off the whole section of like 30 people in that area. And so we chose to not do that, not impact 30 people, but you just let the water run. And you know, we wasted water, or did we impact people who, it could be an emergency situation with people. And that was gonna be far worse than dealing with this. So that was that choice. That contractor should be going through licensing to do work in town. He didn't do it yesterday, he'll do it today. I spoke to him yesterday. That service line, was repaired, but there's another tap that has to be taken off because that can create issues later on if it's not used. Could leak, and we have an underground leak, so that's gonna be taken care of. That homeowner is gonna be selling that home, but I told her that has to be replaced before that home is sold. So she agreed to that. Road improvements, we're still doing small things, filling potholes. I know I got yours, Craig, about Argentine Street, trying to get that fixed. That comes up every week. So you're not the first time to bring it up. It's been brought up multiple times to get that pothole right on Argentine near the hotel fixed. The burn is also another issue that gets brought up frequently. I'm supposed to have a call with Kurt Sukup today to discuss what's the next steps. we have talked to their attorney, Jerry and Nicole Mint, that is attorney, of what the next steps are as far as amendments and plat adjustments and things like that. So I think they're on the same page now. And then we'll figure out exactly when they're gonna be moving the berm and the fence. So that's the next step. Which I know we have talked about it all summer long, but it's like, all right, if you don't move it, we're gonna move it. And so this is putting pressure on them, so I think that's happening. The street lights have been addressed multiple times, and Savvy and Scooter and Kevin are working on that. So there's glass panes that are out in some of them. Kevin can actually fix that himself, so he's gonna be doing that. Strauss Park is, moving forward with the logs and all that should be set pretty soon. I'm sure you gave a report earlier.
Next 2 weeks.
Yeah, at City Park, we're working on, it's gonna be on the DRC agenda, but we'd like to put a railing down just for safety on the gazebo. So that will be coming up. The school would like down on Rose Street in front of 514 to put some crosswalks, because it's gonna be cheaper to put crosswalks to go on the other side than it is to build stairs and fix that wall by the basketball court. The fence goes all the way to the right of way edge or into the right of way. And so it's gonna be way more expensive to fix that than it is to put crosswalks. However, on the other side of the road, they're at 514 Rose Street, they have big bushes in the right of way sidewalk area. And so we would like to remove those bushes. We're gonna take that to the DRC and put flagstone in its place and let the kids come down the sidewalk right there. So from the basketball court, we'll put a crosswalk, and then the kids can walk down, and then put another crosswalk in front of Gwinnett Pass Brewery. So that will be the way that the kids come down. So we're in the process of gonna be presenting that to the DRC for approval. We'd like to move forward. It is a safety issue. And that's, but we know the DRC would want to look at that for approval. So that's that.
Is that aligned with the future plan for Strauss Park with the sidewalk and?
It changed. So remember, I had talked to you guys
Right.
about that a little bit. So what the original inception was, because we thought those bushes, we looked at those bushes like a year ago on Clear Map, and everybody thought that those bushes were on that property line. And then when we all looked at it again recently, we realized that they were not on the property line, that they were actually on town property. Because the way that, if you can picture these particular bushes, they're like pretty prominent. So when we had originally talked about trying to figure this out, we were talking about putting stairs through the basketball court. So basically filtering the kids into that chain link fence and then having them go to stairs that crossed right there on Fifth. Because we don't have to do that concrete work now, it wouldn't necessarily, in my opinion,
It
doesn't affect Strauss Park. We're gonna, because what the kids will do is they'll come out at Fourth, where we actually have a crossing guard through leaf season. And if anybody wants to volunteer to be a crossing guard, it's the best way to get your aggression out. All you do is sit there and hold up a stop sign, and make sure to stop, and they get really mad at you, and you stand there and they can't run you down. They should. It's great. So anybody wants to volunteer to be a crossing guard, let me know. It's like Brian's most favorite job. So when the kids will cross at Fourth, they'll walk down. We do need to talk to whoever bought the Teal building about moving their dumpster. I was gonna bring that up to you after the meeting,
Okay.
because they've got like that dumpster that is basically in the road. And the kids can still filter down, so they won't be in the street. And then once those bushes are out, then there'll be pavers there, and the kids can just cross at Fifth.
Yeah.
And that's a better way for them to cross anyway, to go to the library, so.
So the way that we're looking at it is the town will put in a painted crosswalk. We can put 2 of those in. The town can remove the bushes, and the town, because I believe we have some extra flagstone left over, that we could use that to be part of that. And the school, what they'll do is they'll pay for a contractor to install all that. So then we're working together to cut costs. But that's the plan. That's what we're gonna submit to DRC. Another thing, down by 22nd Street, the trail that we've extended is nearly finished. And so we've got boulders and signs put up on the trail side, which is the north side of 22nd Street. We're putting in a turnaround at the very end of it in front of Neil Duncan's house. That should be done probably in the next week or two. So it's almost finished. They're still building up the backside of the wall. They've got dirt in there, and then they'll put crusher fines on top of that, just to put a good solid surface on there. There's drainage built into it so that when water flows, it's now in a pipe that goes all the way. It doesn't just cause erosion the way it's been doing, but it's actually done what, and we have we'll put fencing on, so the trail will be connected on the backs on the north side of that turnaround. So the trail will all go all the way in, and then we'll probably put in some kind of roll split fencing to separate between when the cars turn around to where the trail is. And it will also probably match, well, then we'll present that, and you guys can look at it, Parks will look at it, the board will look at it. And so, we're moving forward with that, but the final touches, you guys will be able to tell us. We have thoughts, but we know that you guys probably have some opinions on how to do it. So that's what that is. We are still looking at touching up potholes and things like that around town because of the amount of water that seems like it's more regular than we've ever had. We've always had drainage problems. We just don't know about it until it rains. And when it rains hard, then it becomes very apparent where our problem areas are. So we're still working on that. Trying to think of some big things too.
Any movement on the kayak storage?
No, not yet. We're gonna talk to the paddleboard company down by Cabin Creek to see if they wanna be part of this. So the town can do it, or it could be managed privately. There's streams of revenue that could be part of that. We're gonna reach out to Cercitude just to find out what liabilities there is. Although, reality, we're trying to think of more like a bike racking system. But, if you put a kayak system in, people are gonna put their kayaks on it. And so either we wanna make it that this is a rental thing that you can store it temporarily, because if not, it'll get out of hand and we'll have kayaks all over it. And we don't want them really to be during the winter time. It's just only stored in the summer. So it is something that we're still, we're looking into right now. Nothing's final. Still, Craig is working on a parking plan. I know he's been busy, but hopefully soon.
We'll get together the next couple of weeks and hang out what I've got.
Okay. He's got some options. We'll look at it. We'll bring it back to you guys to see what it is. But it's a beautification project, since we're doing a lot of work in that area. And then we'll start looking at the rest of the parking lots, because they're all in pretty bad condition. There's potholes everywhere. I drove around the other day looking at it, even around the concrete areas around the viewing station. You can tell where it's eroding, and if we don't backfill those areas, it's gonna crack and the lifespan just shortens significantly. So our teams are aware of that now. They're gonna be backfilling that soon. But as far as the big potholes that we're gonna have to have, it's gonna cost a lot of money to fix those things and bring in stuff, but we're gonna do one parking lot at a time.
Why are we using the gigantic piling road mill to address those areas?
Why, are we or aren't we?
Why aren't we? You don't have to answer right now, I'll just throw it out there, it's like, we've got the material, it's just.
Well, there's a couple things. It's hard to answer that. One is we just finally went through the special use permit process to get approved to move the milling so that we can reclaim the event parking as parking and not an industrial site. But it's been brought to our attention, we need to investigate the lifespan of millings. Evidently, Jules came in and said that these piles are probably near end of life and deteriorating and are worthless, that we need to get rid of them completely. So we have to investigate, is that true? I hope that that's not true.
It depends on the application. if you're using them the way we typically use those millings, there is no end of life.
Yeah,
Because we're just using them to backtrack and fill potholes, that's all we're doing with it. If you're using it to try and actually put down a flexible hardened surface, then perhaps, but
well, that was,
we've done that all of twice in this town. We did it on Main Street, we did it on Rose Street, and in both cases, that stuff gets replaced. And so I don't know. I guess I don't see the utility in moving it. You're literally gonna drive past the perfect opportunity to place it and put it to good use as you drive it down past the sewer plant.
yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Because it's millings and it's a parking lot, it seems appropriate, but however, being close to a water source, is there an issue with that? And so it became flagged significantly when we were talking about moving it down past the water treatment plant to be stored near the lot 9, which is right beside Dran Russell's. And we had to do a ton of work to prove that we would use this and store it properly without it running off into the creek. So I think that's the question that we would have, is this a potential contaminant if there's runoff going into the lake right there? So that would be the only reason why we couldn't use it. And,
That material does migrate.
yeah,
There was some put up here on, I think 4th Street, and it's washed down on the Townsends, all the way down into this intersection now.
Yeah, and if it's not stabilized and impacted, which again, we've only done twice in the history of having rotomill in this town, that it moves just like dirt.
Yeah, it needs that treatment on the top and compression, and that's never done,
right.
or rarely done.
Rick, could I break in just
Yeah,
for
go
1
ahead.
second? Speaking of the letter, it was on my email when I went back upstairs from Expedia VRBO.
Oh, that's them.
Yeah, that's funny. Her ears were burning.
Yeah, see, Mary's got a lot of power here.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack you, Rick.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mary.
One thing that came up earlier in the meeting, Rick, was the condition of the downtown business district streets. The large quantities of gravel and dirt, and I understand it rains, but, you know, my personal opinion is it looked terrible during Labor Day weekend. And it had been a couple weeks since we had a real gully washer, so we were hoping, we've got some events coming up in the fall that would be like car events and things like that, where we get, when there is dirt on there, we get gusts of wind and nice cars get sandblasted, and tends to deter from
Yeah, I think, September 16th,
I believe that's the
we
date
believe
she
that's the
has
date
it.
for
And I
Mustang
apologize,
Car
she told me,
Show.
and
So, yeah.
I know it's
so
right.
if where they park will be
Yeah.
cleaned out, I think it not only shows that we're good hosts, it will, bring them back again. I know if I owned an expensive car like that, and the streets were dirty and the, curb cuts were clogged, with sand and debris, I would notice, and I would be so excited to come back.
Yeah, Scooter and I have been talking about this a lot, and Kevin, about filling potholes and cleaning up all the sand and gravel on the streets. I created a long list for them to start working on when their project load starts to, it opens up space. The big issue that we're trying to deal with is how do we stop the gravel coming down? And so I think what we've talked about is putting in water bars, down
Those red-
Rutherford Trail.
With those red things that are sitting at the end of Taos that have washed into the middle of.
No. A water bar is where they cut into the gravel and make it like a little gully. And they angle it so that when the water's coming down, it hits that and then it tracks it into the creek back. So that's what we're gonna add 2 of those down on Rutherford Trail, because that's where a lot of water's coming down and it just picks up and picks up. But then the other part on Rose Street, it's like a river every single time it rains. I've got lots of videos to show it's a lot of water. And so that water is picking up gravel and it's taking it down. And we've got to address either 4th Street or 5th Street. and get it back, you know, again, maybe putting in a pan or something to get it channeled back towards Argentine to Clear Creek. Greg will probably be involved to kind of help us guide getting that water off of that, because it's just coming down so much in volume. The volume is so big that when it gets to 8th Street, it actually is backing into 8th Street, and it's flooding. It's not, 8th Street's not the problem, it's the amount of water coming into. And so we are aware of that. We've looked at past drainage studies we found, and we're trying to just get the water, it's just too much water in that area. So we're trying to figure out the best way to get that water diverted so it doesn't build up so much. And I mean, if we can divert a lot of water from the top end, then we can handle the bottom end, and it's not gonna be overwhelming for our system. So we are looking at it.
All right. I'm trying not to sound sarcastic.
Good.
This is nothing new.
I was gonna say.
We don't need a drainage study.
We've all lived here for a long time.
Yeah.
There have to be some sort of solutions as opposed to attempting all these different DIY methods. It's great job security. God bless our road and bridge that they go out there and, you know, push all that gravel right back up so it can wash down on the next. I mean, come on, we're smarter than this. They're, you know, Mr. Engineer, and I'm not putting you on the spot, I'm putting you on the spot. There has to be solutions, and I know they're all not gonna be dealt with at the you know, right away, but just as we are paving our different roads or putting in the concrete gutters, you know, and curbs or whatever you wanna call them, one at a time. Why are we taking care of it? And why is 8th Street any more or less important than any other street around here? This is just so frustrating for many of us to hear this every time. And we're working on it, and we're filling potholes, and we're still filling the same pothole. And so, thanks for my rant.
The backstory is that, and it tends to ebb and flow with the flux in town administration, and the flux with the board, and the flux with road and bridge directors, and whatever. All of these problems have been discussed. All of these problems have solutions identified, and then somebody else comes in with a whole different take on priorities, and the money goes someplace else. So, it comes down to in my opinion, the board of selectmen directing staff to develop and establish a 5 and 10 year freaking drainage improvement and maintenance plan, and a hard surfaces maintenance and improvements plan. And then every year you ask, okay, how much money are we putting towards this? What's next on the priority list? No, we're not gonna discuss it again. This is what's next on the priority list because we spent time discussing it before. It's not, oh, well, so-and-so complained, so now we're gonna pave this road. Like the conversation about Main Street between 11th and 14th, are you kidding me? That's one of the most underutilized roads in town, and to spend money widening that road and things like that, when we've got downtown sidewalks that have never been installed in our primary historic business district, oh my God. It's a matter of the board having the right conversation, I think. So, and it's relevant to this commission because it does, in fact, the prioritization of that money affects the visitor experience. And so
coincidentally, we have a board retreat coming up, and maybe we can have that as one of our, and then take responsibility if we do jack shit.
Something else I'd consider receiving.
Yeah.
So I agree with Craig 100% on the downtown business district and beautification and allocating funds for that, because one of the things that we're shooting ourselves in the foot with, we have been since I moved here, and realized it was something that seems to overall look of town is something that I'd like to address if we ever we're going to
We're gonna run out of time. We have 2 members that have a hard stop at 10, so
I need to add to Chess's report, but I would consider talking about actual impacts of paving and percolation and what it does to water movement. And there are lots of studies out there about that are why it's something I harp on all the time, because when you pave, it seems great. But then you create a percolation issue, and then you create a direction of water issue, which creates more flooding, which creates more sediment movement, which creates the other problems that we're having. And it also creates backups in your sewage system because all that stuff goes in, it's a whole circle that I'm sure has been addressed, but that's something that the board should look at again when you're doing your 5-year plan. Because everyone wants their road paved and it's lovely, but if you have, you can have a wonderful place with dirt roads and in the mountain field and still make sure that you have something that can last into the future. Is all about sustainability. And sometimes I think it seems really great, like urbanization, paving roads actually causes problems for the future.
Drive on my mountain road.
I lived on a dirt road for a year. We have dust everywhere. Actually, I live on a dirt road. With somebody who likes to drive 90 miles per hour down a 50-foot road.
Okay, so, I think we should, I suggest we table the fireworks discussion in the interest of time.
Well, and Jeff needs to be here for that.
There we go. So, if you could all look at minutes from August 2nd, 2023. Any edits, changes, corrections, additions, removal, anything? How we look at it?
That was the biggest, right?
May I have a motion to approve the minutes from August 2nd, 2023?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from August 2nd, 2023.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move to adjourn.
We have a second? Okay. Thank you, folks.
We've said